everyone. We are now continuing Perek Vav of Yeshayahu. This is actually an example of Ein Muktam U'Mu'ucher B'Torah, that the prophecies throughout Tanakh and in the Torah itself, everything in the Torah, is not always in chronological order, that Perek Vav should have been, chronologically, the very first Perek. It is the first Nevuah that Yeshayahu had, and this is the inauguration of Yeshayahu ben Amotz to be a Navi to Klal Yisrael. If it sounds familiar, it actually is the Haftarah of Parshas Yisro. And the pasuk says, B'shnas Mais HaMelech Uziyahu. Uziyahu is the first of the kings that Yeshayahu gave a Nevuah for. Now remember, Uziyahu is actually a tzaddik. And the pasuk says here it was the year that Uziyahu died, but Rashi points out, based on Chazal, that it doesn't mean that he died, but he became a Mitzayra. If you remember, although Uziyahu was a tzaddik, he thought he would have the kayach to be makdir ketayris in the Beis Hamikdash, and when he was makdir ketayris in the Beis Hamikdash, not the Kodesh HaKodashim, but in the Beis Hamikdash itself, in the Heichal, he was hit with saras on his forehead. And the last decades of his life, he was a Mitzayra, and his son Yisam actually became king in the lifetime of his father. And since we say a Mitzayra is Choshuv Kames, this is the meaning, B'shas Mais HaMelech Uziyahu. Now the Gra says, how do Chazal know that Mais means Saras? Maybe Mais means he actually died. The answer is because Koheles tells us, Ein Shiltain B'yayim HaMaves. There is no title of distinction on the day of death. So you would never say the year that the Melech died. You would say the year that Uziyahu died. There is no Shiltain B'yayim HaMaves. But since it says here, B'shas Mais HaMelech Uziyahu, it's mashmataka that he didn't literally die, and that's why we interpret this as a reference to Tsaras. Be it as it may, the year that he became a Mitzayra, Va'era, so Yeshayahu is speaking in first person, I saw Hashem Yoshev al Kisei Ram Benisa. I had an image of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't mean he saw a physical image, but I had an image of HaKadosh Baruch Hu sitting on the Kisei HaKavod. In fact, the two visions of Kisei HaKavod, one is in Yecheskel, one is in Yeshayahu. The Nevuah of Yecheskel is more explicit, but the Gemara says Yeshayahu actually saw more than Yecheskel, but Yeshayahu is like an Eved of a Melech who always sees the Melech. Yecheskel is like a kfar, a person from a village who only sees the Melech infrequently, so he notices more. It creates a greater impression. It's a little bit of a kasha because this is the very first nevuah of Yeshayahu, but nevertheless, the Gemara is madama Yeshayahu to the Eved of a Melech, and Yecheskel as a ben kfar. And Yeshayahu says, I see Hashem sitting on a kisei ram v'nisa. Vishulav, and the bottom of the kisei, Malaya Mesahechal, is filling the whole Heichal, the whole Beis Hamikdash. Seraphim Aimdim Mimal Loi. Seraphim are the highest angels. They are standing above this kisei, on the side of the kisei. Sheish Kanafayim Liachad. Each Saraf has 6 wings. Bishtayim Yechase Panaf. 2 of the wings are near the head, they cover the eyes. So even the Seraphim do not gaze at the Shekhinah. Bishtayim Yechase Raglav. And 2 of the wings cover the legs, cover what would be the Makam Ho'erva, Tznius. Ubishtayim Ya'ifef, and 2 of the wings in the middle. The Seraphim fly. V'kara ze el ze v'yamar. And the Seraphim call out to each other, and this is what we do in Kedusha. We sanctify Hashem Kishem shemakdishim oso b'shmei marom, as the angels sanctify Hashem in Shemayim, and that's v'kara zeh zeh v'yomar, kadosh, 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 Hashem tzavakos. Hashem is holy in this world, in Olam Haba, in all of the future worlds. Molai chol haaretz kavodo. The whole Eretz means actually the universe, is filled with Hashem's glory. So Yeshayahu is zeicha to see the Malachim saying Shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the Kisei HaKavod. Vayanu amos hasipim, and the doorposts of the Heichal were shaking and quaking. Mikol HaKoreh, from this voice. Habayis Yamalei Hashan. The house was filled with smoke because the light of the Shekhinah is mechusa with an anan, as if it was smoke that you can't see. V'yaimar, and as I saw this prophetic vision. Now again, you have to understand, this is a prophetic vision, meaning if somebody would be standing next to Yeshayahu and looking at the same place in the Heichal, they would not see this. So it's not a physical reality. It is a nevuah perceived by the Navi. V'yaimar, and Yeshayahu said, I said to myself, Oy li, alas to me, that I'm gazing at the Shekhinah, ki nidmesi, I will surely be cut off, I will surely die. Ki ish temesef asayim anochi. I am a man of impure lips. Meaning to say, I have tuma in my lips, I speak tuma, meaning I don't always speak words of Kedusha. Ubetaich am temesef asayim anochi. Now it's interesting that he bedavka picks on the chait of Lashon. I mean, Lamaisa, if he just felt he was not worthy to see the Shekhinah, he could have said, I'm a Tamei person, I'm a Rasha, I'm not worthy. But he doesn't say, Stamazai, I'm not worthy. He specifically says, my lips are Tamei. Now whatever that means exactly, either he felt he spoke Lashon Hara, or he felt he wasn't using his words for Kedusha, you see how important Shmiras Halashon is, because of all of the Chatoyim that he might have identified, he calls himself Temesef Asayim, and he calls Am Yisrael a nation of Temesef Asayim. And because of that, I'm not worthy to see the Shekhinah. And if one sees the Shekhinah and they are not worthy, they die. So, nidmesi, I am cut off. Ki es hamelech Hashem tzavakos, ro einai, my eyes have seen the glory of Hashem. Vayoef elai echad min asrafim, and one of the seraphim flew to me. Uviyadai ritzpah, and in his hand is a coal that was taken off the inner Mizbeach, which is the Mizbeach HaKetayres, the golden Mizbeach in the Heichal. B'melka chayim lakach mi'al HaMizbeach. And he took the coal off the Mizbeach with a tweezers. Again, it's not clear why this would be important, but it emphasizes that. Vayaga al pi, and he put the coal on my lips, burning my lips. Vayomer, and the Malach said, Hine naga ze al sefasecha, this hot coal that has touched your lips, v'sor avonecha, your sin has been taken away. V'chatascha techupar, and your averos have been forgiven. This purifies you. You say, I'm tamei sefasayim, as if to say, my averos, so to speak, are concretized in my lips. Your lips have now been purified. Now the Gemara actually says, this was a getter of a punishment, because the taina was, you're a Baal Lashon Hara. It's one thing to say you're not worthy, but what gives you the right to put down Klal Yisrael when you're talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What gives you the right? If Hashem tells you give them Musar, give them Musar. But you don't say to Hashem, I dwell among a people of Temei Sefasayim. Fakert, you're supposed to be a Melitz Yesher. You're supposed to be a defender. So, because you have said that Am Yisrael is Tamei Sefasayim, you need a kapara of burning out that Lashon Hara from you. V'yashma es kol Hashem Omer. So Yeshayahu wrote this later, obviously. And then, because he's describing what had happened, I had heard the voice of Hashem as if he was asking. No one else heard it. Esmi yashlach. Who shall I send on my mission? Mi yelech lanu. Who will go for us? Now, obviously, Hashem intends that only Yeshayahu hear the message, but it's phrased as a question. Who will be my shaliach? Va'aymar. And I stepped forward, and I said, Hineni, I am here. Shelacheni, send me on the mission. I accept. This is very, very important. This is Yeshayahu's inauguration into becoming a Navi. He was not a Navi until this point. Vayomer, and Hashem says, Lech. I accept your acceptance. Go and be my shaliach. V'yamarta liyamazeh, and you shall say to the nation, Shimu shamaya v'al tavinu. You are a nation that hears things. All sorts of Musar, Nevi'im before Yeshayahu. And you don't understand. You don't want to understand. Ura'u, and you see things. You see what Hashem wants of you. V'al teito, and you make yourself as if you don't know what's going on. Hashmen leiv ha'am hazeh. The heart of this nation has become fat, meaning it doesn't feel anything. Oznav hachbad. Its ears have become heavy, as if they can't hear. V'einav hasha. And its eyes have become blocked. Pen, yireh b'einav. It's afraid, because perhaps it will see with its eyes. V'yaznav yishmar, will hear with its ears. Ulevavo yavin, and the heart will understand. V'shav, and it'll do tshuva. V'rafalo, and it will be healed. Meaning, we're describing a nation that is so aduk in chait, it doesn't want to open itself up to hear and see and understand. Lest it does tshuva. It's afraid of doing tshuva. Even though the tshuva will bring refuah, healing. And therefore tell the people that they have to stop being insensitive. They have to hear the message and see what Hashem wants. And let their heart respond. V'yaymar. So Yeshayahu is telling us at the time he said, Ad Masai Hashem. How long will this happen? How long will this be? How is this going to end? V'yaymar, and Hashem said, Ad Asherim Sho Orim Yein Yoshev. Unfortunately, they're not going to do tshuva. So Yeshayahu knows ahead of time that he's on a mission that is going to fail. That's very frustrating. He has a job. He has an acharayas. He has to give musar. He has to give teichacha. He has to do his best. But Hashem says, I'm telling you ahead of time, even though there is bechira, that this will go on until the cities of Eretz Yisrael are desolate, Mi'ein Yoshev, without inhabitants. Ubatim Mi'ein Adam, and the houses will be empty of people. Ha'adama Tisha'esh Mama, and the land will be desolate, empty. V'richak Hashem es ha'adam, and God will send all of the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, both the 10 tribes and later Malchus Yehuda, far away. V'rabba ha'azuva b'kerev ha'aretz, and the Eretz Yisrael will be filled with that which is abandoned and emptied. V'yayid ba Assyria, and even if there's only 10% that's left, the Gullus is going to even affect them. So everybody will be exiled. V'shava v'haisa l'va'er, it will be consumed by the enemies and by the animals and by those who hate the Jews. But there's a message of hope in the middle. Ko'ele v'cho'alain, like a very strong oak tree, asher b'shalechet, even if all of the leaves, shalechet is what it throws off, all of the leaves and all of the branches fall off, matsevet bam, there will be a trunk from which it could regenerate. Zera Kodesh, the holy seed of Israel, Matzavta, will be a trunk from which there will be regeneration and growth. So Hashem is saying, all the fruits will be destroyed, all the leaves will fall, all the branches will be loped off. But there will be a matzevet, there will be a trunk, so to speak, from which the tree will eventually grow back. And this is basically saying Hashem will never allow the Jewish people to be totally destroyed, because there will always be tzaddikim in Klal Yisrael who will keep Am Yisrael alive. This is the very first nevuah of Yeshayahu.